Okay, so today we're reviewing for your test over 9.1 through 9.3. All right, and what we're doing today is we're basically creating a study guide for you to look over tonight and study. Okay, so we know that we have to do some preparation outside of class to make sure that we understand all of the concepts that will be on our test. Okay, and then you also have this YouTube video that you can go back and kind of watch over, listen to between now and your test tomorrow. All right, so we're going to go over 14 questions, guys, at least, maybe one more if we have time at the end. And out of those 14 questions, your test is 25 questions. So we really are going to cover pretty much everything that's going to be on your test tomorrow. Okay, so question number 1. So the first section on your test, numbers 1, 2, and 3 on your test tomorrow, deal with finding the square root, square roots, or the cube root of the number. Well, if there's nothing there, okay, that doesn't mean cubed root, okay, because if it was a cubed root, it would be a 3 and a square root sign. All right, so if there's nothing there, what is it? Don't say it out loud, write it on your paper. There's nothing there, what's it going to be? So this was a question on your quiz too. A couple people missed it, so hopefully we can clear that up right now. What's the answer? Oh, sorry. Sorry. What's going to be my answer here? 225. Okay? There's no symbol here. That doesn't mean cubed root. That doesn't mean, what does it mean? Eric? Positive, negative 15. When there's no radical in the original problem, my answer will be both positive and negative 15. What about this one? It's going to be the answer to number 2. Shouldn't need our calculators. Yes. Is it going to be positive, negative 9? No, just 9. Okay, because that radical is positive. So this is what I saw yesterday. Positive, negative in the answer. So you're going to lose on your test tomorrow. It's real cut and dry. If you get the number correct, but your sign is wrong, it's -2. Except in the first section. In the first section, if you get your sign wrong, it's wrong. Okay? Number 3. The negative cubed root of 6,859 over 1,000. Do not write your answer as a decimal. Keep your answer as a fraction. Use your calculators. There's no work you need to show. What's the cubed root of that fraction? No. I said do not write your answer as a decimal. Keep it as a fraction, okay? No mixed number. No mixed number, no decimal. Keep it a fraction, because what you're showing is 19 was the square root of the numerator and 10 was the square root of the denominator. Okay, so just leave it. Now, if you can reduce it, but don't change it to a decimal or a mixed number. Okay, so that's why I put that one up there. Number 4 now, I want you to do a comparison, okay? This actually is 4 questions on your test tomorrow, okay? Now, it's split up, all right, into 2 different ways that I'm asking it, but it essentially comes down to the same thing. But there were quite a few people across the board that lost points on this section because they showed me no work. And you are going to lose half of your points tomorrow. And on 4 questions, that's going to be 8 points if you show me no work. So please, 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 just show me the step. What is the step that I want you to show me? What's the square root of 100? Very simple. 10. And is 10 greater than or less than? Greater than 9.6. That's all you have to show me, okay? So please do that on your test tomorrow. Number 5. You also have 4 questions on your test tomorrow. Sorry, I had to kind of squeeze it in there, but 4 questions on your test tomorrow over evaluating expressions. This is one of the more difficult ones and one of the ones on your quiz I saw mistakes being made. So that's why I put this one on your review. But you have to show me work. So some of you are still just writing an answer. Guys, you can put that entire problem in your calculator and never do one bit of thinking on your own. That's why we have to show at least one step of work here. You will lose 2 points, even if you have the correct answer, if you don't show any work. All right? Go ahead and answer it. Guys, by writing down these problems, you're creating basically like a mirror copy of your test. Again, this is only 14 questions. Your test is 25. But this is, basically like number 4. That's 4 problems on your test tomorrow, but we only worked 1. Okay, so that's why there's the difference there. But this is really, really close to your test. So what work could you show? What is your next step that you're going to show me, Maya?
The cubed root of.
Yes, what is the cubed root of 10,648? 22. Show me the multiplication, Ethan. Okay, show me the multiplication part, Anthony. Right? 3 times 22. Do not write 66, because then I think that you put the whole thing in your calculator and you didn't actually understand that there was multiplication there. 3 times 22 minus 70. Now, this next step we could do without. All right? I will not deduct for that step, but I must see the multiplication. 66 minus 70 is -4. All right, no work, half credit. All right, so you've got to show work there. Number 6 kind of goes without saying, like you have to show work here. But again, just solving equations. This is 4 problems on your test tomorrow. I'm going to do 2 of them that are very similar to your test, but you have 4 in this section tomorrow, or you need to solve the equation. All right, go ahead and do that. What do I do to both sides? To get rid of my square, I need to do the what? Square root of both sides. The square root of 16 is what? 4. The square root of 25 is? 5. And when you take the square root to solve an equation, your answer is always positive and negative. I did look at your paper. I didn't see the positive and negative. Okay, if you had it, I didn't see it. It was too small. Okay, so guys, remember the square root, guys, the square root. -4 times -4 is also positive 16. Please do not forget that. I have people putting the positive negative, where they're not supposed to, like Pythagorean theorem, and then forgetting it here. All right, so if you missed 3 points on that question, that's probably why. Okay? Okay, so here's our next one. 2x to the 3rd power minus 3 equals 683. All right, so again, this is very close to a problem that you would have on your test tomorrow. I'm trying to give you the ones where I see more mistakes happening. Let's go ahead and try to solve this. What do I do first? Just tell me. I've already looked at your papers. What do you do first? Add 3 to both sides, okay? So before you can, that's step 1 is to move what's not connected to the variable. 2x to the 3rd equals 686. Now what do I do?
Divide by 2.
Divide by 2 both sides. And x to the 3rd equals 343. This is looking nice. What do I do? Cube root. So you must show the 3. I'm checking for that tomorrow. Okay? You must show the 3, showing that the cubed root undoes the 3rd power to the 3rd power, and x equals 7. X equals 7. All right, so we're through 13 questions on your test so far, so about halfway through your test. Number 8. Let's go ahead and start solving number 8. Solve now for the unknown side length. Okay, so this is not going to be an even whole number, like a perfect square, but just round to the nearest whole number. All right, round to the nearest whole number. Okay, so we know we're solving for A. But which value is B?
Oh, 8.
How do we know it's 8?
Because it's in the right angle.
Very good. Well, that's true too. Both of your reasons are true. And I feel like the easiest way to explain it is because it's the other part to the right angle. Okay, it's the other side that forms the right angle. And then just like Mason said, it's not opposite. The opposite side is your, what was that? Hypotenuse. Very good, the hypotenuse. All right, so 8 squared equals 12.6 squared. Then I get 64. And now, guys, this is turning into an equation. It's turning into an equation. How would I solve for A? Subtract 64 from both sides. And A squared equals 94.76. All right, we recognize that's not a perfect square. There's no way that's going to work out to be an even perfect square. However, I can actually pretty well guess what my answer will be rounded to by figuring out which perfect square 94.76 is closest to in value. It's closest to what perfect square? 10, which is the perfect square. What is the perfect square? 100. 100 is a perfect square. Everybody agree? 94.76 is pretty close to that. So I know this is going to be pretty close to 10. And what was it, like 9.7 something?
Yes.
Okay, so you're rounding to 10, guys, but you need to understand why. You're rounding to 10 because it's closest to that perfect square. Label, label, label. Took off a lot of points for labeling on the quiz. Label your answers. A equals, B equals, C equals, and label the unit. If the unit's in the original problem, make sure you label it. Okay? All right, number 9. Do these side lengths form a right triangle? Okay, so A squared plus B squared equals C squared. How do I know which value is A? Just the first one. If it's not otherwise specified, it goes in order. 8 squared plus 14 squared equals 16 squared. All right, now at this point, you are allowed to put this in your calculator. You do not have to show the step 64 plus 196. You can just write the sum. What is 8 squared plus 14 squared? 260. So you can just write that. Equals what 16 squared? 256. They do not equal. They do not equal. All right, now at this point, we are through 90 points of your test. There are only 10 points left to earn on your test. So if you get all of this right, that's an A that you've earned. We do have a review section, and because this test is so heavily focused on equations, guess what's going to be in your review section? Equations. But it kind of backs up a little bit. I mean, you solved an equation just like this in the test part of your, sections, except there was an exponent here. Now there's no exponent, so it's almost easier. Okay? Go ahead and just solve the equation. Guys, what do you do to both sides first? Just tell me.
Add 10.
Add 10 to both sides. Negative 2x equals negative 10. Probably the only area we would see a potential mistake would be in the sign of our answer, because when I divide both sides by negative 2, x equals 5. 2 negatives is a positive, all right, even number of negatives. Okay, now your next one is a bit more challenging. Okay, now I do want to remind you this is 2 points on your test. That's it, okay? It's just 2 points. It doesn't mean it's a difference between a passing grade and a failing grade, but to get that higher test average, you need to be able to solve this problem, all right? If you want to score up into the upper 90s or possibly break the 100 point on your test tomorrow, all right? Which is definitely within some of your capability for sure, or all of your capability. But you got to remember some kind of property that starts with a D. Distributive property. Distributive property. So here's your first hint. There There's your first hint. Okay, when you have the answer, raise your hand if you think you have the answer. You're doing pretty good on the distributive property. What's 2 times 4x? 8x. And what's 2 times negative 4? Negative 8. What's 3 times 2x? 6x. What's 3 times 2? Okay, so now I have variables on both sides of the equation. Technically, I could subtract 8x over here or 6x over to the left side. It doesn't matter. However, I like to try to avoid negatives when possible. So if I don't want a negative connected to my variable, which one should I move? The 6x. Now, to move the whole term to the other side, I have to subtract 6x. All right, 6x minus 6x cancels that out. So if I move my variables to the left side, guess where I need to move my number? To the right side. You can do that in the same step. Add 8 to both sides. All right, if you did it separate steps, that's fine too. Okay, so the x's cancel, the 8's cancel. 8 minus 6 is 2x equals 14. Now what do I do to solve? Divide by 2. X equals 7. All right, again, a little bit of review there on distributive property and variables on both sides. It's 2 points on your test tomorrow. Okay? Kind of going along with that same concept of solving for a variable, you're going to have a question like this also. All right? We had actually 2 entire chapters on this to solve for y. All right? In these chapters, we had to solve for y before we could graph a function or graph a linear equation. Solve for y. All right, so in the last question, we just reviewed how to move a term that has an x connected to it. All right, so if I need to solve for y, I have to get everything else to the other side of the equation and solve for y. What do I do first to both sides? Minus 15x to the other side, the whole 15x. So that means I cannot subtract these from each other. I can't subtract them. Which term would I write first? Negative 15x plus 21. But now what do I have to do to solve for y?
Divide by 3.
Divide everything in the equation by 3. Little hint for your test tomorrow. It's okay if it's not an even number. Okay? But you always want to write your slope as a fraction. Not a decimal, okay? So don't write decimals in your equation. Keep it a fraction. All right, number 13, which is going to be the last problem. How could I rewrite this equation to solve for h? It is one step. Solve for h. Okay, what did he say? If I need to solve by h, why would we say to divide? Because they're multiplication. So all I'm doing is the opposite operation to get it to cancel to the other side. Divide by b. So h equals a over b. That's it. There is no answer. All I'm doing is rewriting a formula to solve for a certain variable. So here's my question. Let me give you one more. Let's stick with the same formula. A equals bh. What if I asked you to solve for b? Go ahead and do that one. Just write it down real quick. If I asked you to solve for b, it's already solved for a, but if I needed to solve for b, what could I do? All right, Sherelle, what would I do? Divide both sides by h. Divide both sides by h. You're dividing, Maya, you're dividing by whatever's connected to the variable you're solving for. You have to divide by it to get it to cancel, and then you do it to the other side. So now b is by itself, which is what I wanted. So b equals a over h. Again, guys, it's 2 points. It's 2 points. If you said a over h equals b, perfect. All right. Anybody want a hint on their bonus?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what your bonus looks like tomorrow.
Oh,
All right, find the measure of each angle of the triangle. So in order to get full credit on your bonus, you have to be able to tell me what each angle measurement is. All right, what is each angle measurement? I'm not going to give you any other hints for about 30 seconds to a minute. See who can kind of get started on it without any other hints, and then we'll go over it. Your first hint is that the angle measurements of a triangle add up to what?
180.
180. So I know that 3x plus 4x plus 5x equals 180. All right? So solve for x, but that's not your answer. That's only x. Then you have to go back into the triangle and find each angle measurement. 3 plus 4 plus 5 is what? 12 equals 180. Now what do I do to both sides? Divide by 12. And x equals 15. But that's only part of your answer. You're only at a +2 at that point. To get the full bonus, what do you have to do? Yes, plug them back in. Plug them back in. 3 times 15? 4 times 15? 5 times 15. Don't forget your degree symbols. All right, technically they're angle measurements. Okay, you guys did really well. If you understand that, you should be ready for your test tomorrow.